Finally got to spend some time with the 2021 Nissan Qashqai. This is a graduation, is the best I can put it. It really has sharpened up the exterior. It still looks a little bit lost possibly in this colour, but it is actually very classy looking car. Most of the changes for this car are going to be on the inside, but we're going to get around to them in a few minutes. This is the ubiquitous 5-door family hatchback SUV since 2006. The moment I picked it up, I started to see more of them on the road everywhere I went. There's an amazing amount of Nissan Qashqais still on the road since 2006. They haven't really left us. And this is the newest version of it in the 1.3 litre petrol. There is a kind of a semi-electric thing coming next year, which I kind of like the look of, but we haven't driven it. We don't really have any big details behind it, but it is kind of semi-electric. But we're going to do this one, which is the petrol one. Much more old school, much more cool. And now we're going to find out all we need to know about the brand new Nissan Qashqai. Just having a brief think about the outside for a minute, it does have, like, you know it's a Qashqai, right? You look at it and you go, that's definitely a Qashqai. It's not anything else, could be anything else. Even if you took away all the badges, you still know it's a Qashqai. But they've put the word Qashqai here just in case you forget. But also the kind of, this is the SVE model, by the way. This is a slightly upgraded one. So you notice you get a lot of these kind of lines and dashes and cuts and angles and stuff around the front. This is a new way of hiding or making car big or small or dropping the shadows on or whatever. They've just started doing this. Not just Nissan, everyone's doing this. You get a little kind of piece of plastic on the outside. Decent full-size alloys, really comfortable, by the way. Those Bridgestone tires are super quiet. The car behaves very well on the roads, really, no matter what the speed is. We'll get to more about the engine problem I had recently, but that's okay, we'll get around to that. Now, some of the things is, some of the doors open very wide. These doors open, nearest makes no difference to about 80 degrees in the front, but the back ones open to near 90, like wide open. And let me show you why that's important. Mums and dads out there will know that getting in at the kids into the child seat here is always an issue, but here I can nearly turn all the way into the car to get at that child seat. But even if you're not into the, if you have no kids or nothing else, you just want to put people in, it's just so comfy with the door open so wide, it's so easy to get in. Speaking of which, back seat here has a normal USB port and a USB-C port. They just charge, they don't take charge of the infotainment system, they're just a charging device. And weirdly, up here we have interior lighting, which are all little halogen ones, which are actually, I find them less kind of blue at night time, you know what I mean? So you're driving on the road, this is a warmer light for the rear of the car if you want to read a book. I find LEDs very pinpointy and very blue and very distracting. You can nearly sleep with a little halogen light on. Pretty cool. Back seat here has armrest, twin cup holders, and of course the seats all fold flat, 60/40. There's no gap here. This is no ramp, no gaps, no nothing. This is good and flat, tons of room, really easy to use. And just before we leave the back seat of the car, we're going to have a look at the boot as well while we're here, right? Is it just me, or does that license plate look a little bit weird without a surround on it? Just saying, there's no surround on it, it's just wondering. Anyway, first one with Qashqai written right across the boot. You'll notice there's nothing else written on the boot. It doesn't say SVE or anything else on the boot, it just says Qashqai across here. The boot lid is not electric, but that's okay. I can live with that, it's all right. This is a two-stage boot. So you have a boot, which is here, nice and flat. And if you lift that, you've got another boot underneath that. And if you want to go a little bit further, you've got a spare wheel underneath here as well. I am amazed how much stuff they've got in the boot here and managed to get a spare wheel in here too. There's tons of room in that boot. It's one of the cleverest boots that I've seen on a car in recent years. Really is. Does everything you want to do. You can clamp them things up to pin things between them. There's just so much to learn in the boot. You can play around with it. 12-volt sockets, chopping bag hooks, all the usual kind of stuff is in here as well. And you have, it's a lit boot and there's a little place to put things on the back. You can put the tonneau cover or the tailgate cover under that if you want to as well, if you want to take away this part. Totally, perfectly clever, well done, Nissan. Now, let's see what I don't like about the car. So instead of sitting here and going through every feature in the car, let's do it on the drive, because there's something in particular I want to show you. So this is the 1.3 litre that's up here. It started already, okay? So it's got a clutch, 6-speed box, which is actually a pretty good box. It's not bad. It's a little bit far over on the reverse but you do get all the cameras. So when you look at this, you get a top-down camera SVE model, and you get the rear-facing camera as normal. But when you put it into first, there are times when you're taking off that you can cut it out, and I mean quite easily. There, it's kind of, it labours for a second, and it's between kind of 900 RPM and near 2000. It's somewhere in that region that you find yourself at roundabouts and things in a hurry, and you just find flat spot just goes flat on you all of a sudden, just when you least expect it. There it is, it just did it there now. And it recovers when you put the boot into it and away it goes. But on the drive, so let's just talk about, forget about engine for a minute, just find that flat spot. Maybe it's a software issue, maybe it's something that can be corrected later on. This appears and you must click OK to start. Then Apple CarPlay will start in a second when it comes up on the screen here. So wireless Apple CarPlay is in this SVE model, as is this big touchscreen. There's a lot of wasted space on the touchscreen. I don't mind that so much. The Nissan software, A1 Nissan, don't have any problems. Everything works just fine on the car all the time. I have a digital display. I'm a fan of mechanical display. I think the digital display is not a cop-out, but it's kind of, it's like saying, if I don't like this display, I can just change it at will, which is what we'll say the Volkswagen group do when they're talking about their cars. They put in these kind of different color versions of the same thing, but it really hasn't made the car any cheaper. Speaking of which, they now start at about 30 grand for this car. This one more like 37, so it is starting to push up, whereas you get the old Nissan Qashqai for, well, 25-ish. You know, so there is quite a bit, and they'll tell you there's more stuff in the car, and there is more stuff in the car. Welcome to Ireland, we have to mount a ditch to get around some cars. There's that flat spot again, just died on me. Feels like the car's going to cut out, you know, it's weird. There's a rattle from my tripod right now, which is the cabin is actually super quiet. I'll demonstrate that further up the road, but it is actually super quiet in here. This is a lovely gearbox, very light clutch, very light steering wheel. I have to say sometimes it does feel a little bit like a dish. You can get over that really, because this is meant to be a 5-door hatchback. It's not meant to be a car that corners really well. I find the kind of moon roof, sunroof thing a little bit glary in the daytime, and when the sun is shining it really does beat down inside the cabin. Fortunately you can close it at will. I also find there's no UV filtering on this front windscreen. The top of the steering wheel becomes very hot on a sunny day, which means there's a lack of UV filtering in the glass here, which might be an option in certain territories, but certainly I miss it out here. The steering wheel is very nice. I like the active cruise control on this side. I like the stereo being on this side. I like the twiddly knobs and dials that we have down here to control our temperature zone. I do find on auto, funny enough, that the air conditioner doesn't blow very hard. It's like a hamster coughing on you. You kind of have to turn it up a bit. Nissan are going above and beyond the Call of Duty on this one. I think it's just very, very good. I can't really find anything in particular that I don't like. I can't quite put my finger on one thing and say I don't like that. Perhaps that flat spot in the engine, but I have a sneaking suspicion they'll deal with that might actually be a problem with this car, or maybe the software that's controlling the throttle response at the time, because it doesn't happen all the time. It's only there sometimes. The gearbox feels a little tighter, the steering feels a little brighter, the whole car feels like it's been worked on and it's going through its motions to make sure it actually does what it's supposed to do. I have very little that I dislike here. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for this review of the Qashqai. If you like this kind of thing, you should be subscribed by now. You should definitely be part of the channel, part of the group, part of the cool kids gang. You can find me on various platforms, on TikTok, on Twitter. Not so much on Twitter anymore, it's a vile little hole of a place. Facebook is pretty good again, it's gotten better as it used to be. But also Instagram has become awesome lately. It's not a bad place to hang out at all, I quite like it there. But thanks for subscribing wherever you subscribe, and you know, hats off to the patrons and to the PayPal guys who've been here for a long time doing the thing, and the channel has grown because of you. You're the cool kids out there for sure, and I love you loads. But anyway, you can become one of those you want. There's links in the bio down below if you want to follow me on those kind of things. I am there. Where is that junk? Oh, there's. You can follow me on those kind of things you want to. There's loads of opportunities to sponsor this fully independent channel. We have some fun here. We've always been independent since for the last 10, 12 years, I'm going to say, something like that, since we started this channel. So I've always been independent, and I'm delighted to have a lot of you here since the very beginning. Some of you are subscribers in the first 100 subscribers that are still here, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, big things coming. That's what I'm going to keep saying at the moment. More stuff on the way. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you on the far side.